So there is, might as well just tell you, there is substance and truth to conspiracy theory. The entire universe is conspiring to give you everything that you want. We want you to find ways where you can consciously and deliberately allow your vortex to tune you into your natural frequency. And when you're tuned to your natural frequency, you're yodeling down the canyons of life. But when you're not tuned to your natural frequency, you're complaining. You're pointing out the injustices of the world. And we know blame feels a whole lot better than guilt. So it's their fault, their fault, their fault, their fault, their fault. But we want to give you 100% of the credit for everything that is happening to you. Because until you accept 100% of the credit of everything that is happening to you, you have no control. Because you can't control them. Have you tried? Contracts don't work. Coercion doesn't work. Dropping bombs on them doesn't work. Threatening them doesn't work. Get on your knees and begging them doesn't work. In other words, you cannot get others to behave in a way that's going to please you. You have to find a way to be pleased apart from anything that anybody else does. And we're here to tell you that by effectively utilizing the power of your own deliberate focus, you can get there, and you can get there fast. And with practice, you can be there mostly. And when you are mostly a vibrational match to what's in your vortex, then the manifestations that begin happening will be astonishing to you and to others. But we want to offer this one little, we're not taking anything back. It's just a little extra emphasis that we really want you to get. Yes, everything you want will manifest. Let's just start there. But we want that not to matter to you for a while. Because if the manifestation matters, if it's primary to you, and the manifestation isn't, then the thing that's most important to you isn't working, then you don't have a chance of getting in the vortex. So you've got to come to a conclusion that says, I can be happy without the manifestation for a while. I can be happy with the dream of the manifestation. I can be happy with the law-based understanding of the manifestation. I can be happy with the vibrational flow of my being. I can be happy with alignment with source energy. In other words, I can be happy with love, the feeling of it. I can be happy with clarity, the feeling of it. I can be happy with eagerness, the feeling of it. I'm going to go for those things for a little while, and I'll let the cars and the boats and the empires and the physical change in my body, I'll let all of that just sit in valuable, constructive motion forward vibrationally, but I will not take score of manifestation for just a little while. I'm going to be an emotional evaluator. And it is our promise to you. If you make the way you feel matter most, so that you tune yourself to your vortex consistently. And the good news is you can do it now. 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 You can't put that extra $500,000 in your bank account right now, but you can feel hopeful about it, which is better than doubtful about it. You can't drop that 60 pounds you want to lose today. If you do, call an ambulance. But you can feel excited about it. You can feel eager about it. You can feel anticipation about it. You can dream about it. You can feel good about it. You see what we're getting at? If you will let your quest be an emotional quest. Now, some people, skeptics, none of you in this room, of course, but some people, skeptics would say, oh, there's that, oh, there's the hook. There's the hook. Just dream it. Just dream it. And don't face the reality of it. And if you dream it, in other words, we're trying to use human sarcasm. It doesn't come out very well when we do it, but skeptics sometimes think that when we say, don't worry about manifestations, it's because we don't believe they're coming either, which is not true at all. We know that everything you dream for, everything you wish for, everything you hope for everything you desire must come into full manifested fruition for you. It's law. It's law. We also know it's law that it cannot manifest if you are vibrationally resistant to it. We also know that focusing upon the manifestation will most likely cause you to be vibrationally resistant. So if we can talk you out of focusing upon the manifestation and talk you in to caring about how you feel just for a week, it is our promise to you that with a week's focus, concentration upon caring about how you feel to the point that when somebody sends you an email that is unsettling and you see their name, you don't open it. You just send them an email that says, I think I may have seen an email in my inbox from you. I'm not really sure because I was unable to open it. But seeing your name there immediately made me remember how much I love you and how eager I am for all of us to continue living happily ever after. So you've replied the email, but you didn't allow them to drag you out of the vortex for that afternoon of discussing that email with everyone you know, or with anyone you know, or even contemplating it on your own. In other words, you're going to reach the place where you are so tuned into who you are that the search engines in the sky will sift them out for you. Out of your email box, out of all of your in-baskets, you see. The in-basket that follows you where you drive, the in-basket that follows you where you walk. In other words, everyone who surrounds you is always a vibrational match to who you are. You're going to like this. Because you are genius creators, and because you've come to create with the power of your focus, you would rather have a negative thought than no thought. You'd rather have a negative experience. You'd rather have negative emotion than no emotion. Because emotion makes you know you're alive. When you focus upon what you don't want, you launch a rocket, and there's a lot going on that at least you're alive. You're not bored, you see. So you will always choose negative emotion over no emotion, but that's not the spectrum. You've got positive emotions to choose from too. So you can't get it wrong and you never get it done. So just don't be afraid to get out there and play in it. In other words, this is what this is all about. You're fine-tuning yourself into increasingly better vibrational stance so that you can receive more of what you're really wanting. You're never going to be in a place where... So here's this spectrum of emotions, and let's say they go all the way from agony and defeat all the way to ecstasy and joy. And let's say you got a little bit of all of it active, so you get a little... And because you've got some of the unwanted active, it mutes the wanted, and because you've got some of the wanted active, it mutes the not. And so your spectrum is not as dramatic as we have expressed it here, but you've got a pretty broad spectrum of vibrational possibilities, emotional possibilities, and manifestational possibilities. So you just begin tuning yourself by wanting to feel better and wanting to feel better and wanting to feel better. What begins to happen is you narrow the range of probabilities. So now your contrast, instead of being from here to here, from really unwanted to really wanted, is from sort of unwanted to really wanted, or from wanted but not as much to really wanted. In other words, there's contrast within wherever you stand. And there's enough contrast within this love, joy, appreciation to keep you launching more and launching more and launching more and launching more. That was significant. Did you hear it? You don't have to have agony and awful things in your life in order to put things in your vortex. You can't stop putting new and improved in your vortex. So life getting better and better and better and better is going to keep happening from wherever you are. Did you get that? You can live happily ever after, but you're not going to ever get to the place where you no longer ask. And that's the thing that's so interesting. When people who don't have what they want are watching people who have everything that the people who don't have what they want, the people who don't have it think that the people who have it must have everything that they want. But that is never true. because the game keeps playing. There's always more to want. No matter where you stand, you're going to just keep parlaying it into more and more and more. That's why you cannot let what others think about you influence your standards for what you set for yourself, because they're not even playing in your game, you see. You're going to feel a very strong pulling on our part. In other words, an encouraging, a calling. We're going to help you emphasize from wherever you are the vibration that will lead you in the direction of what's in your vortex, because there is no value whatsoever for anyone like us, and we couldn't even if you wanted us to, really a lot. There is no value for someone like us to step outside of your vortex and converse with you where you are. You got plenty of others who are willing to do that. We are not among them. Our value to you is by knowing so clearly who you really are, and by focusing upon it so completely that you get a glimpse of it too. You see, your mind is always active. Your mind is always active. Yeah, and most people are sort of all over the board. That's why they get so much variety in their life experience. If you want to sharpen the number of wonderful things that come, you have to talk more about those wonderful things. So we like this analogy that we've just offered you with this broad spectrum of vibrational possibilities and really manifestational possibilities. The people you're going to run into today are somewhere in this spectrum. So let's say that you have been thinking about things wanted and unwanted, wanted and unwanted. And so there's a lot of active stuff in your vibration all over the place. So, and an idea comes to you about something that you intellectually and emotionally know is not in your best interest, but still it's calling you because it's active. You sort of have an addiction to it, even though intellectually you don't want it, emotionally you don't want it, it's still calling you. So we would say, oh, I'd have to think about you now, or I'll think about this later, Gator. I'll do this later. I don't have to make this decision right now. In other words, we would do everything we could to diffuse it. And we want to say we wouldn't give in to it. We wouldn't give in to it just because it's easier. This is where we would use our determination and our focus and our knowledge of who we really are. And so the way Esther does that, she asks herself, I wonder what Abraham thinks about that. I wonder what Abraham thinks about that. And because her Abraham vibration is so active within her, she just barely has to think. I wonder what Abraham would think about that. And she moves closer into the vicinity of what Abraham is. So it really comes down to how you want to feel. And we think what you're grappling with, and Esther does it too sometimes, is trying to discern the difference between interest and interest in a subject and something that's really in your best interest. And really, the only way you're going to know that for sure is to play it out. And there's no harm in playing it out. Do you ever see a movie, you hear about it, you know enough about it, and you make the decision to go see it, and halfway through you realize that you knew before you got there that it wasn't going to be an uplifting experience for you? In other words, you get to offer a vibration, you get to attract an experience, and you get to evaluate the experience that you've attracted so that you can launch rockets of improvement into your vortex. We are just suggesting that when you have an unpleasant experience and you launch the vortex you launch the rocket of desire into your vortex, that it really isn't prudent to go back and have another experience like that. At some point, don't you want to reap the benefit of what you've put into your vortex? That's really what you want to ask yourself is it interesting because it's active in my vibration, or am I being called to it because it matches who I really am and what I really want? And that's a distinction that we know that you can make every single time. We have enjoyed this interaction more than words can convey. You are magnificent beings who are in this moment in alignment with who you are. And whether you are in any moment in time in alignment with who you are or not, there is no transgression that you have defined as a transgression that is egregious